Hello and welcome to the training log for the first week of January 2023. This is something new I'm trying out. We're going to see what the reception's like, how they turn out, and if that's all good and these aren't too big of a pain to keep making, I will continue to do them for the foreseeable future. For this block, I'll be running Rip and Tear, which is a program I've written over the last couple of years. It is freely available in the Snapcity Google Drive, which is linked in my bio. If you just go to the drive, then full-length write-ups, then the Rip and Tear program document. There are two links. One is to the Boostcamp app, where you can find the program. That's good if you aren't really familiar with spreadsheets or if you want all the legwork done for you. If you do prefer spreadsheets or you like to be able to edit a little bit, I also have a link to a Google Sheets with the entire program on it in that second link. Please make a copy of the Google Sheets spreadsheet if you want to use it. Do not request access to edit the master copy. I'm just going to ignore you. So if you want to see any of the specifics of the programming I'm doing, I'm not going to include every single set and rep number that I'm going to do. So just reference this program. I'm going to follow it mostly as written. There's a few differences that I'll get into in just a second. This is the general split that I will be following. On Monday, I have light, squat, bench, and deadlift, as well as a few arm accessories. Tuesday is a free day, which is either there for rest, for any other accessories I feel like I want to do, or more than likely it's a day to max out the odd lifts that you probably are very familiar with at this point. Wednesday is heavy squat, light bench, and lower body accessories. Tuesday is upper body hypertrophy. I do all of these strict hypertrophy days at my local commercial gym. Shout out to Madtown Fitness. Friday is heavy bench, heavy deadlift, and upper body accessories. And then Saturday is arm hypertrophy, and Sunday is lower body hypertrophy. I tried my best to spread out this split so that there wouldn't be too much back-to-back of the same muscle groups, but there's only so much you can do to spread things out when you're trying to follow the specific split for primary lifts and for hypertrophy days that I want to do. So there's some back-to-back stuff, but I've done a split similar to this before, and it's really not as big a deal as you might think. For the light squat, bench, and deadlift day on Monday, I actually held myself to roughly powerlifting standards for once. I'm doing a short online informal meet for a community I'm in later this month, and I wanted to get at least a few days practice with the straight bar for squats, mixed grip for deadlift, and pausing for bench. So I figured the light day where the weights aren't particularly challenging was a good time to do that. I did find that reaching all the way out, you can kind of see in the video, to grab the collars and almost push out into the plates. That wider grip let me keep the bar in a better position, which has been a big issue for me with straight bar squats, and one of the main reasons why I just kind of stopped doing them. I later found out that that's not actually legal because powerlifting is silly and goofy and hates fun. So I'm probably just going to squat with my deadlift bar, which is long enough that I can grab outside of the J hooks when I go to squat. So we'll see how that turns out. Might be fun, might kill me, who knows. Overall, I found the day pretty easy, which meant that I set my maxes pretty well. This first week is not meant to be hard. It's a little bit more reps and sets than I've been doing for several months now, but that wasn't too bad, so I'm in a good place for the rest of the program. I didn't record many of my accessory sets because I didn't really think about it. I might do that more in the future just so there's better background image than watching me do a bunch of sets of squat, bench, and dead, but for this day, I think I just hit some hammer curls and then some pushdowns. As I've said before, on these days, I do some accessory work, but it's not really a priority. It's just whatever I feel like doing on top of the main lifts. The main lifts are the key. Where I really bank on getting the majority of my hypertrophy work is on the dedicated hypertrophy days that I do at the commercial gym. I will also note here that mixed grip is very much a skill, and while my grip strength in absolute terms has definitely gone up since I stopped using mixed grip, I'm just not used to it. That underhand grip is not normal feeling. I'm not used to kind of being twisted into that position anymore, so I didn't feel that great about the set. My underhand was kind of coming loose by the end, so you need to practice mixed grip if you want to be good at it. It's not as hard as hook, but there's still a skill component there. So moving on to the rest of the week, for the heavy squat, bench, and deadlift days, I use my preferred technique, which in this case is the camber bar for squats. This is my go-to squat bar. It's what I consider my standard squat bar. I don't think it's better for most people, but it definitely works better for me. I feel like I can brace my torso better with my arms at the side position versus up near my shoulders, grabbing a regular bar. I also like that I can slightly adjust the weight distribution mid-lift by pushing and or pulling on those arms. So it definitely takes a bit to learn to use this bar. I didn't like it at first, but it's definitely paid off, and it's my primary squat bar now. So definitely worth checking out if you've never used one, especially if you feel like a straight barbell is not a good squatting tool for you. Moving on to bench press, every rep I did this week felt good. That's pretty normal. Anytime I'm benching sub-maximally, it feels pretty great. Upper body lifts aren't terribly fatiguing mentally or physically until you really push them to failure, as opposed to lower body lifts, which can start to feel pretty hard at a pretty late weight. So all my reps were snappy, they're all fast. I banged out these sets a lot faster than I did my squat sets, so nothing really to note here. We'll see how they go in the future weeks when I start adding in the AMRAPs. I will note that I have been trying to do a full grip and a little bit wider grip than I used to, especially for these layer sets, because I feel like long term, both of those changes will increase the amount that I can bench press versus a tighter grip with thumbs on the same size of my fingers. So we're going to see if I can learn that a little bit better just by more practice. Moving on to deadlifts. These felt heavy, and you're going to kind of see that. This is, I want to say, 635 pounds for only 6, which is way less than the 625 I did for 16 even last week. But one of the reasons I don't do tons of working sets of deadlift is because I have a hard time getting excited and focused about working sets in general. And with deadlift specifically, it's a very heavy weight. And when I go into it kind of half-cocked, it just doesn't go very well. So I don't think they do a ton for me. I don't particularly like doing them. So that's a good reason that I don't normally do working sets of deadlift, and why I'm probably going to axe this deadlift volume before the end of the program. It's just the easiest thing to get rid of when I need to start conserving my energy. And I only do them at the beginning because I feel like I should, given that I've written this program and I've told all of you to do it. But do as I say, not as I do. Last, I have a new accessory movement that I added in this week after I got this new handle to use all my standard plates. So that's 185 pounds, and these are, they're not quite croc rows. I think they're a little bit too controlled for that, but they're aggressive single arm dumbbell rows. Let's call it that. I don't really like categorizing rows. They're all just rows. Whenever you're pulling a heavy thing towards yourself, it's a row. It doesn't really need a special name. So I still need to play with these to find the best kind of angle to pull. That barbell is 28 inches long, so I need to kind of consider that when I'm putting my foot in a position or where I'm pulling it to. Otherwise, I'll hit myself with the actual handle. So these were harder than I kind of thought they would be, and I definitely felt them in my shoulders. And it wouldn't be a training week if I didn't have at least some weird lifts. This was for a mini online competition. This was supposed to be a press out of anything, so given that I'm me, I had to press out my Danny Stone rings. Not easy. The weights kept banging against my arms. They were jiggling all over the place. I think this is only 75 pounds per hand or something like that. Not particularly fun. Not really that impressive considering how light it is, but I don't know how many people have tried to do this with the Danny Stone rings before, so at least have that going for me. I don't record much in the way of footage at the commercial gym. I don't really have a problem with people doing it, and I'm sure it'd be fine if I did so. I just don't like doing so. I don't like getting in the way or setting up a tripod or anything in the commercial gym. It's just not what I'm about. So I'm just going to talk about that, kind of talking over some other sets that I filmed earlier. So just kind of some background viewing. So I have the 3 days at the commercial gym, and I like to do that because, one, the gym has a lot of really great machines that I'm never going to have the room or money to afford in my home gym. It's just some of those machines are super expensive and they're really big, and I can't have that in my home gym. So it's well worth the monthly payments to go to the commercial gym. And two, I like the change of environment to get me in the right head state for growth training. I'm not distracted by when I do a compound lift or when I play with one of my fancy bars. It's just, I go there, I bang out my sets. I'm not worried about how much I'm lifting. I'm just worried about getting the work done. And it's really good to have that kind of compartmentalization between my dedicated growth training and my, well, everything else training that I do at home. All those days this week went really well. It was good to get back in there and feel the pump again after several weeks of having less than enough carbs to really feel that and not really workouts conducive to it. I generally will do anywhere between like 5 and 7 exercises for 3 or 4 sets each. I'm not really worried about the specific movements I'm doing. I just kind of do what I'm feeling each day, and I worry about taking each set pretty close to failure or to failure. So nothing really revolutionary or crazy there. Sorry if you're looking for some kind of secret. It really is just about banging out the volume and making sure you're doing good hard sets. So yeah, that's all I've got to talk about for this week. It's the first week of the program, so it's nothing terribly exciting. So yeah, that's mostly just kind of background about what I'm doing for the next 3 months. If you have any specific questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I might add like a short Q&A portion to the end of the next one, just because I think it's a bit more interesting than me waxing on about my third squat set. Ditto, if there's anything specific you'd like me to record so you can see it, let me know. I'll try and fit that into the next one. And if you have any just general feedback about what would make these training logs more helpful or more interesting, let me know. Like I said, it's the first one I've done. I'm not really an expert at editing, and I'm not really sure what kind of content should go into them. So yeah, please, any feedback is good feedback. Even if you think they're terrible and you hate them, then that's fine. I won't be offended. It's not really my niche yet. So well, let's kind of see how it turns out.